What's good, book lovers and friends? We are back at it with another Brown Girls in the Rain book club. We've been on a hiatus for about like 6 or something months, but we're back.
Hi everyone.
This is this Sharanja, Anika, Books Bounty, Fresh Pea. So Sharanja, how's it been?
It's been it's been a long year with everything that's been going on, but I'm happy to say that at least we're alive, we're still healthy, and we still have our friendship and we still have our family. So that's pretty much we have so much to be grateful for.
That we do. Oh,
Hi, Sean.
what's good, Sean? And let me let me not neglect the annoying one over here, which I love the annoyingness. My number one fan,
Hi,
Sheena.
Hi, Sheena.
Okay, so seeing as we haven't done this in like however long, there's less structure. Not that there was a lot of structure to begin with, but there's less structure in this one because we're not talking about a particular book.
Specifically.
So, how do you want to kick this off?
Maybe just name some of your favorite books from the past year that you've read.
Okay, I guess in no particular order, I'll start with one that we actually read for book club. So, seeing as we're still in the month of February, gotta do like a little bit of love, a little bit of black people, and like always Toronto. So, ties that tether.
I agree. I agree. And it was spicy.
Yeah. And the next one in the series is actually on my TBR list. Oh, I think I have it here.
So
The Swedish Remedy.
Swedish Remedy.
It's not really a series, but like just the author's next book.
Yeah. And I think they're both set in Toronto too. I think she writes
Oh, is this
local.
one set in Toronto?
I think so.
I don't think so. I think it's set in Nigeria.
Oh, okay. Different. Uh, so I Anika, are you still going?
No, you go.
I basically just read a bunch of children's books for the past year. Like, I wasn't really in the mood to read a full-on novel. I just didn't have the focus for it. So I just switched my reading preferences to kids' books. And I had no idea that there were so many good kids' books out there. I like Sheena's enthusiasm.
All the time.
But yeah, I read a lot, so it's hard for me to pick just any one to say which was my favorite. But it's because it is Black History Month. We're still in February, so thought I might highlight some good books for February. And one children's book that I really loved was the Nina Cephone children's book that I read last year, and it's basically just like a little biography for about her life, and it focuses on her music, but it also talks about her as a civil rights icon. And I thought they did a really good job about highlighting just how much she cared about her people and making sure that people like her had rights going forward. She did like the author is Tracy N. Todd. She did a really good job of depicting Nina Simone's life. And this book was banned in like several states when it first came out. The 1619 Project, Born on the
Mm-hmm.
Water.
The novel too was banned.
Yeah, the novel too was banned, and all this is really about the start of slavery in the United States and just how far African Americans have come in their civil rights struggle. And I just thought it was like a really great book. It was really beautifully written, and yeah, it's just gorgeous. So those were two that I really enjoyed. Amongst Wait, one more though. This is not really like a historical book, but I just thought it was really cute. It was kind of reminded me like a Black Little Mermaid.
Yeah, you love that one.
I love this one just because the art is so adorable. Like I could
Oh,
see a whole Anika
Sharanja, the
being one
first
of my
book, was it just called Nina?
the first book. It's just called Nina.
It's just called Nina. Okay.
Yeah, and this one's called Una, and it's
Hmm.
by Kelly DePuccio.
So I have two children's books that I'll show, but before I do that, I just want to do a little shout out here in that. Are y'all peeping that Sharanja and I are wearing our uniform?
We have merchandise.
Yeah. And oh shit. We got our water bottles. We got merch up in here.
Mine is over there.
Got a travel mug. But yes,
We're gonna have
let
a
me
store set up soon.
get my children's books. So the first one is actually one that Sharanja gave me for my last birthday. Love Grows Everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful book that talks about all different types of love. And it's got cute little black and brown children in there. Great book. And I guess I have a theme of birthday going on because I also talked about this on my birthday, which was My Soka Birthday Party by Yolanda T. Marshall. And she lives in Toronto, but she's Guyanese and one of her parents is from Barbados, like me. So that's exciting.
Oh my gosh. Um, yeah, just children's books for me, like they've taken a whole new meaning in the past year.
Shalina, these are two of two. There's her and I have the only copy. It's
Oh my gosh,
extremely limited.
extremely limited. But for her, we will make an exception.
Exception.
She's an honorary member. Um, yeah, for me, children's books have just taken a whole new meaning in the past year, just because I didn't realize how diverse and meaningful these books could be. It's almost just like I would say it's like poetry, but with illustration.
Hmm. And you know what's funny about this whole thing was that at the beginning of this journey, you were more into reading the bigger novels, and I was getting into it to creating a bookshelf for my future kids, like to get children's books. And now you're reading more children's books than me, and I'm picking up the more like novels that you would have
More novels.
read.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I don't even. Yeah, I know how I got into this, but I didn't realize just like how big of a
Gap.
demand there is for. Like, there's a big gap, but there's also a huge demand for these kinds of stories where you see people who aren't normally represented in kids' books finally have their story being told, and it's being told by people who are part of that specific culture.
You know, it's a Jughead. I made it myself. Your friend is crafty.
Very crafty. Oh my gosh. Oh, and I don't know, more fun note. One of my other favorite children's books from last year. I started watching The Office because I just needed something lighthearted to watch,
Hmm.
and everyone has so many good things to say about that show. And evidently, there's a children's book about The Office, and I loved it. It was pretty much just like an episode of The Office, but set in a like a school classroom, and they're all little, and it looks very very cute. You have a baby Dwight, a baby Jim, a baby Pam, and a little Michael.
Sharanja,
This was a
I
fun one.
see you for your TV show, and I raise you with a movie, which is currently my favorite Disney movie, Encanto.
Oh my gosh.
And of course, you know I had to bring it back old school. It's the Little Golden Book.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't
The
realize
Little
they still
Golden
made
Book.
those. That was a great movie. Oh my gosh. Um,
All right, I
okay.
got another one. This one was on our list to read together, but then we took the hiatus and like I read it. So we've got Nubia, the real one. I really,
Oh,
really, really like the story, the plot of this, and how it it touched on a lot of like activism and like basically like Black Lives Matter protest. Love that about this book.
is Nubia by DC? Is that
Yeah,
like by a
yeah,
there's they is it like the Wonder Woman Nubia? Or there's a character in Wonder Woman series who is her name is also
yeah.
Nubia.
It's the same Nubia, but this one is just I guess they make her like a teenager going to the high school or whatever, and like Diana is like her parents' friend.
Okay.
But
That's so
if you
smart.
want to read about Nubia like as an adult, like currently right now there's Nubia and the Amazons. That is a great series.
Nubia and the
Amazing art too.
oh my gosh.
What's your
I
next
haven't
book?
I haven't really read that much in the way of the comics or graphic novels in the past year. I did read one. It's called Mouse, and it's right here. And this one, it just shows just how powerful graphic novels can be because this is the author telling the story of his mother and father who went through the Holocaust and they're
Mhm.
concentration camp survivors. And I thought it was just like a powerful tribute to their memory and everything that they went through. And I thought him choosing a graphic novel to illustrate their story, it 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 works better than like an actual regular novel because you can see what they go through. You can
Yeah.
see it, right?
It's actually funny. I That was a part of my required reading in university when I don't think it was children's lit, but it was one of my English literature courses and I didn't read it. I just bullshitted.
It's okay. It's okay. Okay, I bullshitted so many books in
Watchmen
university.
was also on the list.
Yeah.
Okay, but
So
you just finished saying that you haven't read that much in the comic book area this year, but like why you lying? Because your all-time
oh
favorite,
yeah, my all-time favorite. This is like
your
my
all-time
all-time favorite
favorite.
comic book series.
So
This is
so for my friends out there who know that I do like this, I have to admit I didn't give it a chance for the longest time, and I was with Sharanja when she bought her first issue of Saga, and I still didn't give it a chance, and it was only till like maybe 2 years ago or more when Sean, when Puff Comics told me you gotta read it, you gotta read it. So then I finally read it and I fell in love.
it's honestly it's like Star Wars but better. It's like Romeo and Juliet, Star Wars, but also like Game of Thrones too. It's like the scale of the story is just too epic. And yeah, I was really happy to see it come back finally. I didn't think it was going to come back. I thought Brian K. Vaughan had just essentially forgotten about it and started working on other projects. So I kind of let it go, but I was really happy that it finally came back.
Like reading this issue number 55, I didn't know how they were going to move on from issue 54 or where they were going to go, but like I'm excited. I like how they picked it back up.
Me too. I loved how they picked it back up. It made it. I don't want to justify that he made us wait like what 2 years, 3 years. It's been a long time, but it was worth the wait.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
I see Q. What's up, Q? And I think I missed Al. So,
Yeah.
what's up, Al? Haven't seen you in a while. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess I have to read this book now.
Yeah. This is also one of the books that have been like very heavily banned throughout the years.
All the best books have been banned.
All the best
Oh
books.
no. Okay, who went last? Me or you?
Doesn't matter.
All right. So I'll pull another one that I know you've read because I bought it for you. Iron Widow.
I have that one. This one was a fun
Love
read.
this book. Love this. And I'm excited. I think it's going to be a part of a trilogy, so I'm excited for the next one.
This one had.
This one gave like Pacific Rim, Mulan, something
Gundam
something
Wing.
else.
Like it gave a lot of like anime vibes, like old '90s anime vibes. Let's say that.
Yeah.
And I also liked the spoiler alert, the love triangle, where it was an actual love triangle.
Yes. It wasn't like the girl is in love with the guy or like the guy. It wasn't like an Archie, Betty Veronica type of thing. It was legit like the girl, two guys, but then the guys two.
And the guys also too.
Good. This is good.
And the author's comedian too.
Shalina, he bought Iron Widow. Because I was actually talking to him about another book that I had, and he said he saw it and he was thinking about buying it. It's a non-fic. I forget the name. You're something. Your best. You're your best. I don't know something, but yeah. Adrian said for me to tell him how it goes. You're up.
All right, so I'm back on the children's books again, but why not? There was a lot of discourse in the past couple of years about Indigenous rights and residential schools. I think it was last year where they started digging up the number of bodies that were found at various residential schools in Canada, and for those of us who don't really know, like residential schools are where the Canadian government forcibly sent Canadian children or like Indigenous children to study and stay, but these were not really institutions that were appropriate for kids, and there were a lot of abuses happening at these schools, and this had happened over. Anika, you know this better than me. You're the
Listen, I'm just enjoying listening to you. Shalina knows about this stuff too.
And I guess the residential school system was it was over the period of like what, over 100, 200 years, 100 years.
I think the last residential school actually closed in the 90s. Hard to believe.
90s. Right. And what had happened the past year is that I think it was a
Kamloops.
Kamloops, a First Nations tribe in Kamloops had finally gotten someone to go into the school in their area to dig up the bodies of the children that were laying there, and I think they counted up to, correct me if I'm wrong, like 200 kids or more than that probably. So there was a lot of discourse about Indigenous rights within Canada, and there was more of a focus point on Indigenous stories, and I thought might as well read a couple books to kind of learn about what's going on. And one of my favorite books that I read this past year was Stolen Words, and it's basically about how a grandfather and a granddaughter talk about the grandfather's experiences at a residential school. And one of the things that he feels that he lost out on was the fact that he wasn't allowed to speak his cultural language while at the school. They only allowed students to speak English, so a lot of languages were lost because of that way. And he felt like he lost a good part of his culture because of not knowing the language. And this book talks about that, and I thought they did a really good job. And also, this book. This is how I know this was a win for Indigenous Publishing this year because I think it was shortlisted for a bunch of awards.
Cree?
Yeah, it's published in Cree and in English too. And it was published by an actual like small independent Indigenous publisher. And it went on to win a bunch of awards, and this was like a very important win for Indigenous publishers this year. And I thought those were two very good stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To be honest, Q, I miss these chats too. Like every time Sharanja and I get together, we do talk about this kind of stuff, but like it's just nice to talk about it with other people.
Yeah, nice to have everyone's input.
All right, Sharanja. So you just talked about those two. So now I have an Indigenous book too, one that was also on our list. Amazing book, Firekeeper's Daughter. If y'all like thrillers, this book is good. I don't even know how to describe it. Basically, just this girl, and she experiences before the start of the book, she experiences a loss of a family member, and then that kind of affects like where she's going, how she's taking on school or whatever. But then she's into hockey and like a whole bunch of things, and then her best friend ends up dying, and then that like leads into an investigation that she's a part of, and like good stuff, good stuff. Oh, hello, Greg. Nice that you got home from work.
Anika, that book, I read that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, they have like a production deal with Netflix now. So that's one of the books that they're adapting for Netflix.
Wow, and it says that this is like Reese. It was on Reese Witherspoon's book club, her young adult
Her
book
young
club.
adult. Also, Reese Witherspoon's doing a good job of picking the books for her.
Yeah, Reese's book club has a lot of BIPOC reads.
A lot of
Like
BIPOC, a
you
lot of
go,
good
girl.
reads. Yeah.
I feel like I have more books than you, so tell me if you want me to go.
You can go.
Okay. Let me pull one of my mini comics. So Sharanja probably knows that I like this one because last summer we went camping and I brought this with. Actually, I brought two of these with me when we went camping. So the first one I'll talk about is Eve. I really, really, really like this series. It's like in a post-apocalyptic world, and like she colored and like she's smart and like just go read the things.
Is it by who publishes it?
It's a Boom Studios.
Boom Studios.
And
I've
then
only read one series by Boom, I think. It's
Hmm?
Curb Stomp. I've only ever read one series by them, and it's Curb Stomp, I think.
Oh yeah, I have that, but I haven't read it.
Mm.
Okay, then we have. I think you remember this one, Alice in Leatherland. You can see the strap on
Yeah, I see it. I see it. You didn't have to.
and the bras flying. This was a good read too. It was funny. It was quirky. And then by Image, we have Made in Korea. I liked this one too.
Oh, I think I want to check that one out.
Okay, go.
All right. Another special children's book that I wanted to highlight is Julian is a Mermaid. This one was promoted heavily by RuPaul, only because it's about gender fluidity and kind of encouraging kids to explore their gender identities. And yeah, in this book, Julian is our main character, and he loves dressing up. And one day, while he's on a walk with his grandma, he sees a bunch of like very beautiful women, and I feel like they must have been headed on their way to like a caravana-esque festivity because they were very very dressed up. So he saw them, and he couldn't get the image of their beauty out of his head. So when he went home, and while his grandma was in the shower, he went into her closet and he started putting on her clothes. And it when his grandma comes back out, instead of like yelling at him for using her
Yeah, like
clothes and
shaming him.
makeup, yeah, she was just like, "You look beautiful. Why don't we dress up together?" And they had like a fun time out of it. So I thought it was like a really smart and beautiful way to encourage kids to, explore who they are. Don't discourage them from that. Let them decide who they want to be. And I thought this did such a good job of showing that message to kids.
And I feel like because I did see this book before and I was like looking over it, like he's Afro-Latine, right?
Yeah, he's Afro
So like
Latina.
clearly, I feel like
Afro Latina.
that is not usually how that's not usually the response that would happen. So like that is good representation to show like how we can progress.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So anybody who knows me know they would expect this to be coming. Far sector. Obviously, I had to bring Far Sector into this because I checked my Goodreads and this came out within the last year. So this is allowed.
This is about even if
And
you're not into
so
comics.
I already have all the issues and multiples of some issues, but I got the trade.
And the trade. Yeah, the
So I
trade came
can
out
read
last
it.
year. Yeah. Even if you're not into comics, that's still a fun read if you're into like mystery,
Yes, because this
right?
is one that I told you. I'm like, Sharanja, I ain't really mess with them Green Lanterns. And I know like you like comics, but not really like the superhero type of comics. But like give this a chance. And my girl, I know you loved it.
Yeah, it was fun. And the art is by a Toronto
Jamal
artist,
Campbell,
Jamal
Toronto
Campbell,
artist.
and he did a good job.
Look at
I
them
like that
peachy things.
the comic cover art matched the inside of the comic, because usually they'll have like a different artist for the cover and like the inside art is completely different.
Sean, you know I always gotta love on Far Sector. It's Tuesday, but it's Far Sector Friday up in here.
Yeah, no, that one was a really fun read, and it's by N.K. Jemisin, and she's like
Yeah.
a very well known like science fiction writer.
Yep. When this first came out, I got the first issue and I got to like the second page and then I was just like staring at it and like I couldn't finish reading at that point because I was just like mesmerized by the art and by the character design of Joe. Just like, is this what love feels like?
Yeah. And also the background, like she did a very good job of constructing Joe's background, because I think it was like she was a police officer on Earth, and
Mm.
then she witnessed her partner abusing someone, like abusing someone they had just arrested. I can't remember if it resulted in death or not, but that really affected her. And I think it was during that time that she got the opportunity to become a Green Lantern, right?
So true. Like I had a discussion about Far Sector on Sean's channel. We did discussion about Far Sector here on Brown Girls in the Rain. Like the love is just so real and so deep. And yes, Q, when the cover and interior art, that's why like I usually really love like variant covers, but like sometimes I'm just like the regular cover looks better. I can't disrespect Jamal like that. Like your art, chef's kiss.
That was the issue I was having with Miss Marvel, because the cover art looked great, but then
Mm-hmm.
the inside art was completely different.
Joe, I can't stand it when it's like that. You get totally turned off.
Mm-hmm.
Or like when the art. Okay, I'm gonna say this because I'm assuming Greg is still in the chat, and I know Q's in the chat. So Greg tried to read Silver Surfer Black, and he's like, "Yo, the artwork is so trippy. Like he couldn't. He said you have. It feels like you have to be on drugs to like enjoy it, but like the artwork looks like if somebody's on drugs. But I know that Q likes that art, so I'm like, it's just funny. Different people have different preferences. Let us see. Oh, okay, okay. I feel like a lot of these picks have to do with Toronto, which like I didn't think that Toronto had that many books about them, like set in Toronto.
You got to go looking for them.
Yo, tell me what issues you need, because I might be able to find them. Because at some point, every single week, I was picking up titles, and my LCS guy's just like, you really like Far Sector, don't you? Okay, so yes, back to Toronto things. I didn't think that there was that much things set in Toronto, but I've like 3 more books on my list in Toronto, 2 of which are by the same author. Anyways, this one, Frying Plantain.
Fried plantain. Oh.
This was a good one. Talked about this girl who her parents are Jamaican, but she was born here. And basically the trying to balance like Canadian Toronto life with your background being like Caribbean. Like you're too Caribbean for some people here, but you're not Caribbean enough for your family. Good read. Like I'm not Jamaican, but I identified with this.
Who's the author, Anika?
Oh, the author is Zalika Reed Benta.
Sounds like an interesting read.
Wow, you're rude.
Next book that I wanted to highlight because I kind of related to it that I saw my own family in the story. It's called Wishes and it's by Nguyen Phi Van. So it's about a Vietnamese family that has to leave Vietnam due to the current political situation. So they hop on a boat and they basically leave everything that they know and everyone that they love behind in order to start a new life in the I think in the US. And it's about that process of saying goodbye to everything and going somewhere where you don't know anyone and you don't know what's going to happen, but you know that it's a lot safer than where you are right now. And it's told in the form of a poem, and it's told from the perspective of the family's youngest 6-year-old daughter. And the hardest thing for her in the story is to say goodbye to her grandparents because her grandparents are not old enough. They're not well enough to make the journey to the US on this boat. And I related to this because my parents did the same thing. They had to hop on a boat to seek freedom from the current political situation in their home country. And I think it did a really good job of humanizing refugees across the world and making them seem more than, they're not just coming here to take your jobs, they're coming here to seek a better life. And oftentimes they don't want to leave, they have no choice but to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought this did a really good job of telling that story. Also, I was really impressed that this was a children's book, that this topic was being told in the form of a children's book. So, and the art was beautiful too. Like I said, really beautiful.
All right. Okay, so I got 2 books here, same author. I'll start with the one that I read last first because this book had me messed up. Like I'm still shook from it. Like I'm having like a quarter life crisis on Infinite Earth. Monday's not coming. Sheena is who told me to read this, and we ain't cool. Like this has me scared because in this, the girl has her best friend. Okay, so there's this girl and her best friend, and like, the main character, she goes away for the summer and she comes back for the start of 8th grade, and then her friend is just like missing. Like she doesn't show up to school, and like she's asking everywhere for her, and nothing. Long story short, I'm shook because I'm imagining if like when we were kids, when we were like in high school, because when you think about it, like we've known each other for more than half our lives now. Like we grew up together, you and I. And if I was to go to school and then like you just not show up and everybody's gaslighting me, and I don't know where you are, and then I don't know what's happening to you, and then I eventually find out what happened to you, I would be upset and I'm mad, and like this made me want to cry. And then the ending, I'm not gonna spoil it, but the ending has me like wondering if something's wrong with my head. Like are all these friends that I'm meeting online, are they real?
Right.
Like,
Like,
is
are they
Sheena
actual
real? Is
people?
Q real? Is Sean real? Am I imagining this?
Those,
Am I having
those
a
three
mental
are
break?
real. They're real. They are real.
You don't know that. Terrible. And then, okay, so then this next one by the same author. So the author is Tiffany D. Jackson. Is Grown. I'm sure you've seen this all over Bookstagram, as well as probably Monday's Not Coming. But this one reminded me so hard of that sicko R. Kelly. This book right here, R. Kelly vibes.
Does it deal with like sexual assault?
It's a girl, she wants to be a singer. She is 17 at the time, 16 or 17. And like the guy's like 28, 29. And he's like a singer, but he's been in the game since he was a child. So like everybody knows him, like, oh, superstar, blah blah blah. Anyways, he kind of like takes her under his wing, but like they're having like this secret relationship on their phone. But then he convinces her parents to like let her go with him, basically to say like that he's going to be taking care of her, like going on tour or whatever. But then everything seems all fine and dandy at the beginning, but when they go on tour and like they're in this relationship, like he's basically having her locked in the room. She can't talk to people. She can't talk to different men. Like he starts like verbally abusing her, physically abusing her. Like she had to pee in an ice bucket in the hotel. Like ridiculousness, but good movie. About movie. Good book. Good book.
It sounds like they're directly taking from R. Kelly, from what R. Kelly did to people.
That is why our child will never have the first initial R, because we ain't having no R. Kellys up in here. You're deaf, not a bot? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm glad I gave it a chance because I actually did really love the book. It just ripped my heart out.
Next book I wanted to talk about has to do with body positivity, and it's called Beautifully Me, and it's by Nabella Noor. She's like a really big Instagrammer, like Instagram influencer. I don't know if you've seen her videos, Anika, but she published a book in the past year, and it's about her as a child learning to accept her beautiful plus sizedness, and she learns to accept how she looks and find beauty in how she looks with the help of her family. And I think for a lot of kids, family plays a big role in how you see yourself and how you value yourself. And in a lot of these books where I read about like kids finding self-esteem, it's the same thing where the family is the one to kind of reaffirm that self-esteem. And I personally do believe that it's very important that a mom and dad, even though you shouldn't tell your kid that beauty is everything, you should tell them that they're beautiful, right? But don't tell them that like beauty is all that you have. Tell them they're beautiful, but also tell them that they're smart, things like that. But like self-confidence starts with the parents, I think. And this is the message that Novella wanted to portray, that like if she didn't have her parents telling her that she was beautiful, she wouldn't have that confidence that she has now.
This book reminds me of that book that we read, Lakshmi's Mooch.
It's by the same artist. It's the same
But I
artist.
mean, even the storyline kind of like it aligns kind of.
Well, I think we're seeing a lot more books now for kids that kind of have that same message where it's like accept who you are, find beauty in who you are. Whereas it's not even like things about how you look. It's like things like your name, find beauty in your name, accept your name, be proud of who you are, right? So I'm glad that we're seeing more books like that, like this now. Whereas I don't remember seeing books like this when I was a kid. I remember reading a lot of like silly books um like Winnie the Pooh and things like that,
Dr.
like about
Seuss.
Dr. Seuss, like talking animals. But I don't remember reading books about self-esteem and loving who you are.
At least
Maybe I'm
not
not.
children's books. Maybe not until you got to chapter books and stuff.
Yeah, at least not until I got to chapter books for sure, but
which
definitely not in children's books.
like really it's important to have them in children's books because that kind of reaffirms and makes a foundation for
Right,
these little kids.
right. Even just to have the visual affirmation, like I've never seen a children's book that had a character like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just even having like the visual affirmation does wonders.
All right. Another book that you and I read, The Vanishing Half.
Yeah, great book, great book.
Like, I directly didn't like identify with this, but I could see how things like I could see how it things happened because in a different life, like my dad could definitely pass. Like he's white passing. Any person on the road would think he's a white man. So like he could have made the decision to like live his life in that way, like if he was living in these times just to better himself. But like I can see where both of the twins are coming from. Like one wants to hold on to their blackness because like that's who they are, that's how they were raised, and the other one just wanted better in life. But like the ways that she went about it, questionable.
For that book, I thought it was interesting how even though they're twins, and they're both, I think they were both very, very light skinned, right? But
Mhm.
society determined their race based on who they associated themselves with. So the one twin that went and married like a black, like a white man and had a child with him, she was assumed to be white by the people around her. But then the other twin who decided to stay in her hometown and marry like a black man and have kids with him, she was automatically assumed to be black. And it was interesting because they both looked the same, but they were essentially
Mhm.
being like they were essentially called different races by the same society.
Like did you did you find I'm only thinking about this now. I don't think I mentioned it when we originally talked about this. Did you find any issue that like the one who chose a black husband that like he was abusive and the white one wasn't? Why did black man have to be abusive?
Yeah, I didn't connect it when I was reading it, but now that
I
you're
only
saying
just
that
thought
is
this.
weird. Yeah, but then she went for she had another lover after
Yeah,
she left
like
her husband,
but I don't
right?
think she never like claimed him.
Hmm.
He was just around.
But wasn't but even then with the other sister who married that white man, um, didn't it always feel like she was always on the tipping like the edge of danger to begin with? Because she kind of made it seem like her life was in danger if he found out the truth about her, right?
Yeah. And then like after reading this book, I watched the movie Pass is it was a movie called Passing? And then I
Yeah,
seen the book, but I don't want to read the book since I watched the movie. The book's only like that big.
yeah, it's
But
short.
that movie slash book reminds me of this with
Mhm.
that character. Well, I guess with
I'm
both of
pretty,
them.
I'm pretty sure Vanishing Half was influenced by that story. That
Oh.
story was published back in like the 20s and 30s, I think.
Hmm. But like even watching the movie in my head, I'm like, is there like, do white people actually see these people as white? Like you can clearly see that Tessa Thompson is not white.
Hmm. I felt that way looking at Ruth Nega's character,
That too.
but you never know.
Queen with Halle Berry.
Oh, I
Queen.
love that movie. It's by the same author, the
Oh, Alex Haley.
by
Like
Alex
it's his other
Haley.
side.
Yeah, his mom's side.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen
Yeah,
that. And a young what's her name? Raven Simone
Raven
is in it.
Simone.
But quickly, as we're speaking about Halle Berry, if y'all want a good Halle Berry movie, go watch Frankie and Alice. That's a good one. I feel like not a lot of people know that one. That's a good one. Also, Shalina had her thing today, her her everything 90s challenge thing about what movie you want to see on a streaming platform. Mississippi Masala.
Oh,
That's
I
a
love
good
that.
movie, and a lot of people don't seem to know about it, even though Denzel Washington's a main character.
That movie was the first movie my dad ever watched with Denzel Washington, and he's loved him ever since.
Hmm,
And Denzel looks good at this
good
movie.
movie. Good movie. But you don't see anything about that girl anymore. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything.
She acts in like so Sarita Chowdhury. She acts in like random like TV shows here and there.
Oh, okay. Um, let me see. Let me throw a comic in here, seeing as I've been pretty heavy with the things. You ever hear about this one? Home?
Yeah, I want to read that
Love
one.
it. I feel like it could have been a little better, but like, love it.
Is it only a limited series? I thought it was
Yeah,
an ongoing.
yeah. It was only
Oh,
limited. I think 5 or 6 issues. All of the ones I talked about today were limited.
hmm. Anika, were there any series like other than Far Sector? Were there any like series that you started last year that you really really liked?
Well, as I said, like a lot of these things are just limited series. Um, like this one was a limited series. I liked it. Like I liked it enough that I cosplayed the girl,
Hmm. Oh,
the United States of Captain America.
hmm.
Or I was really enjoying Static, but I fell off of it. I need to continue reading it. We got like Static.
I was reading somewhere that Michael B. Jordan um, is looking to develop Static as a movie. I don't know
Also,
what that means.
before I forget, because I know you read my copy, Naomi is coming back finally with a season 2, like the comic. Season 2 coming out this year.
I like the book, but I don't know how I feel about the show.
No, I meant the book
Okay,
because remember the first one, the same way this says Static season 1. It said Naomi season 1.
right.
The show itself, I only watched the first episode of Naomi.
Hmm. Same here. So, but yeah, the
Like
graphic novel, the
Greg and I
comics
are
were
watching it, and we were like having comments throughout the whole thing. Like that man whose nose is like this wide and
great.
his eyes are like this far apart.
Mhm.
We need to
Were
be
there
like,
were there any like nonfiction like memoirs, biographies, nonfiction books that you read last year that you really liked?
yes. I don't know if I pulled it aside, but Raceless was good.
Yeah, Raceless was really good.
Um,
Raceless was frustrating because I kind of got mad at her mom, even though I have to, I should I don't know what I would do if I was put in that same situation as her mom. But then her mom just took the lie about who her daughter was way too long.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, let me see. What other nonfic did I read? Nonfic. There's that one that I read like the first story that I mentioned earlier that I don't remember the name. Actually, hold on. Let me pull it up because I know I had posted it in my story today for the letter Y. Talk while I find it.
Well, one book that I really enjoyed, nonfiction book that I really enjoyed recently was All Boys Aren't Blue, and it is by George M. Johnson, and it's basically a series of anecdotes from his childhood up until his college days about him coming to terms with his sexuality and also exploring his gender identity. He's so he's homosexual, and um he had a very supporting and loving family, And his book is kind of like a blueprint for other people who are going through the same thing on how to approach people in their family or kids in their family who they think might be who they think might be like either bisexual or homosexual. Just approach them with love. You know, don't don't turn them away before you talk to them. Don't do things like that. Approach them with love and kindness. That's all they really need. And this is also one of those books that were very, very heavily banned in the States, which I don't understand to begin with, because it comes off as like he comes off as like a loving older brother just trying to guide people in the right way. And I'm like, oh, the States really does ban all the good books.
All right, I found the title. It's called "You Are Your Best Thing: Vulnerability, Shame, Resilience, and the Black Experience." That's what the cover looks like. Really?
You are the best thing. And who's the author?
So it's edited by Tarana Burke and Brené Brown because it takes like little stories, like excerpts from different people. Like some of them are like famous Black authors or whatever, and like they talk about their experiences. So the first story I read was about a guy talking about how his mom passed and like his process of grieving through that. Read it.
What was there a book that you read last year where it taught you something that you didn't know?
Is there a right answer to this? Because it seems like you're trying to fish for something. What's the answer?
I'm not fishing for anything.
That taught me something that I didn't know.
Or it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Do my school books count?
Yeah, they count.
Okay, well then probably some one of those my trauma books.
Yeah. So I'm not a big basketball fan. I'm not really into basketball like that. Um, but I read
Kobe?
Kobe Bryant. Yeah, I read Kobe's book last year, Mamba Mentality, and only because I had a family member who really loved Kobe, and he had passed away during that. He had passed away in July of last year, and it really messed me up. And this was like when this was the first book that I saw in his room. Um, Walking in after finding out he had passed away, it was literally just waiting there for me, and I'm like something like I something telling me that I need to read this book, and like I thought like reading this book would give me like a better understanding of why my cousin loved him so much. And that book, if you don't know basketball, Kobe does such a good job of breaking down basketball and also like explaining why he loves it so much. And like he even goes into like explaining what Mamba mentality means, and it's basically just trying your best at whatever you love, trying your best, study hard, give it your all, and work and practice every day until you're at a level where you think it's acceptable. And that mentality, he says that like Mamba mentality is not just for basketball; it's for anything in life. And I thought that was such a very very like it's such a Kobe thing. It was such a Kobe thing to say, and
Mm-hmm.
like I think with Kobe Bryant, like one of the things that people don't really people are only just now beginning to understand is that he was so much more than basketball. He was so talented, and because of his hard work ethic, that like he could literally do anything that he wanted to because he cared so much, right? Yeah, but yeah, I really like that book.
Yeah, I mean, those are really good things to live by. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's because of my program or what, but I'm really trying to do more self care and like be more aware of people's like trauma responses and their like what traumas they bring with them as they go through life. So yeah, like self care is a big thing. Um, like speaking positivity into people's lives. Like like what I told you at Christmas time, New Year's, like I gave you this stuff. I'm like, Sharanja, write for yourself. Like Doesn't have to be for anybody. Like it's just pour out your heart. It's like a soothing thing. Practice self-care. Even like how you and I played We're Not Really Strangers. Like as I said, we've known each other half our lives. We're definitely not strangers, but like sometimes there's things that you don't tell one another, and like it was really good. It was really helpful.
It was
It
really
was a
helpful.
bonding experience.
Yeah. I know Anika has another podcast, or Anika has another stream after this.
10:30.
Oh, 10. Oh, we got time.
Yeah, we got time.
Because I was gonna say Anika's gonna be talking about
Philadelphia, yeah.
Philadelphia,
On Michelle's channel, Moonlit Comics. So
Moonlight Comics.
y'all come check me out, because I know most of you people in the chat are my comic book community. So okay. I wrote down something so I wouldn't forget, because I don't have all of them. Two that I wanted to make mention of that are digital, and you also read them because I introduced you to one of them. So, anyways, the first one is Lore Olympus. Everybody, go download webtoons and like read Lore Olympus. It's so good. I don't Sharanja, describe it, because I don't even know how to describe. Like it's all I know is that it is based on the ancient Greek, like
It's,
demigods and gods.
yeah. It specifically focuses on Hades and Persephone and the love story between them, but it it's just so much more epic than that. Like,
And the
and
art.
and the art is so good. It's also it has humor in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of funny moments in the story where it's not just like darkness all the time, and it also talks about like what Anika talked about too, about facing trauma, because there's a
Mhm.
lot of that.
And they make
And
sure to put their trigger warnings, their
yeah,
activation warnings.
before every chapter, right?
Like only if there's stuff dealing with that. If it's just a normal chapter, then no.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really good. Like it's webtoons. It's one of webtoons number one like series, to the point where in October they released volume one like printed, and like that's not even 1/4 of the amount that's out right now. So it was good. My second one was also on webtoons, and it is Big Ethel Energy. If any of y'all know about Archie Comics, like Archie Comics was like my basically my step into this comic book world as a child, little 8-year-old Anika. And I've always loved Jughead. Clearly, I was wearing my Jughead hat earlier. Anyways, so like back then, Ethel was just this annoying character who was always going after Juggy and like whatever. But in this one, it gives her character more depth. Like I love her character and I hate Jughead. Jughead's so annoying and I want to box him in his head.
He has a problem. He's so
There's something
rude.
wrong with him. He's rude. He's bright and out of order.
I think that there was another children's book that I forgot to highlight for
Go
my
ahead.
like Black History Month reads, but
Mm.
it's
Is it one
called
that I've read?
The Oldest Student:
Oh,
How
yeah.
Mary Walker Learned to Read. And this is a true story. It's about Mary Walker, who at the age of 15 she was freed from being a slave, and then at the age of 68 she was still working and raising money for her community and supporting her family. And then at the age of 116 is when she actually learned how to read. And she only learned how to read because most of her family had passed away, and there was no one there to really read her like the newspaper or the little stories that she liked to hear. So she decided to take herself down to the local community center and say, you know what? I've been through so much in my life. Learning to read, it's nothing. I'm gonna do it. And within a year, she was reading like full on books on her own without having any prior knowledge on how to read or write. She did it within a year at the age of 116. So this book like I said, go read her story. Mary Walker, that's her name. But this book is just proof that you're never too learn. You're never too old to learn, and there's always there's always you're never too old to learn, and you should never feel ashamed of not knowing something, right?
Right.
So yeah, look her up. The oldest student, Mary Walker.
And I guess that's very much motivating too, because there's a lot of people who they get into like their 20s or their 30s, 40s, and they feel like they want to go back to school, but they don't because like, oh, I'm too old. But like clearly, you're never too old. There's people in my program, and I'm like, you taking this program, like, are you just taking this for the sake of spending your time, or like, do you want a job in this field? Because aren't you retired? And I guess people have money to put out there, and they want to learn. So by all means,
But it's also a good way of keeping your mind active, right?
yeah.
I feel like everything starts going downhill once you're not using this anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Let's see. Honorable mention: Concrete Rose. If anybody has watched or read the book The Hate You Give, this book is actually a prequel where this is the story of Star's dad.
Maverick.
And when he has her older brother, and basically being a teen dad and trying to balance life and fatherhood. Concrete Rose.
And I think Angie's other book is actually being made into a movie too on the come up.
Yeah. I actually had that on my list here too, but I read it on like ebook, so I don't have it to show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say read Concrete Rose, On the Come Up, The Hate You Give. Those three, they're all good. I didn't read, I don't think it was this year, but I read The Poet X. That's a good one. But from the same author, I have this book, which Greg actually bought me for not my last birthday, but the birthday before, with the Fire on High. I really love the cover. So beautiful.
Pretty.
And it's called Fire on High because she's in high school and like she's a really talented cook, like, and she wants to become a chef, but she's basically trying to navigate life of she has a child and going to Spain to study cooking, and then also not knowing like what she should do after high school. She should pursue it. So I really liked it. Representation. Afro Latina. Oh, my other two Toronto books, we've got Catherine Hernandez's Crosshairs, which this is a, I guess, futuristic, like, I wouldn't really say post-apocalyptic, but like futuristic world, which this kind of scared me because I'm like, is this how Toronto could end up? Like where we're in like concentration camps type of things for being black, brown, if you're Muslim, if you're a part of the LGBTQ community. Scary stuff. And this one, Scarborough, which is actually the part of Toronto that Sharanja and I were born and raised in before we moved out to the suburbs.
That also has a movie too.
Yes, it was in TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival. And actually, Sharanja, it was showing at Morningside this week.
Oh, no way.
Oh, what did you say? Is there a certain time of day that you read? The amount of books you read in 1 year is amazing. How do you make? Okay, so let me tell you a little secret. As you know, this school year, I have been going downtown Toronto for placement. So at 6 a.m. in the morning, when I'm on the train, I read before I get down there. And if I'm early, I sit in the station and I read before I start walking. And then same thing when I'm coming home, I read. And when I read my ebooks now, when I'm laying in my bed unwinding, I have it on my phone and I read until I want to fall asleep. So that's how I get all my books in.
Sharina, I mostly listen to audiobooks now. When it comes to like novels, I just listen to audiobooks and I have them playing when I'm either working or if I'm going for like a walk or just like exercising. I have my novels playing as audiobooks nowadays. Or and if not an audiobook, then I usually just read for like a little bit before going to sleep.
Yeah.
I got one more that I want to highlight because it's Black History
Go
Month
ahead.
and I want to promote as much of these books as possible. This one is called Change Things by Amanda C. Gorman. And Amanda C. Gorman, I've been in love with her ever since I saw her in her little yellow blazer at the at Biden's
Inauguration.
inauguration, and she did a really great job with the poem that she wrote and read. And she has like a full book of poems out right now, but this one is one poem, and it's about motivating kids to change things within their community. You don't. It's like her telling kids that like you don't have to wait until you're an adult to do something for the people around you. You can do small things for the people who are around you and your family and friends at any age. Even with small things as like picking up litter or just like, volunteering. The power is within you at any age. And I thought this was a perfect book to demonstrate that. And as always, the art was really nice.
I'd like to add that a lot of people don't realize the power that they hold. Like, just being a good friend, being there to listen to your friend's rant, or if they want to cry or share good news, just being there, that is a lot of power. Because sometimes people don't feel like they have somebody there to listen. And I'd like to also say thank you, Sharanja, for being a person that I can always turn to. You're always there.
Yeah, I would say more, but I don't want to cry. I don't feel like doing that right now.
Like, a lot of people have their ups and downs, but I feel like we don't have that many downs. There's only been like probably one argument in our whole relationship, and that was just like some stupid little teeny bopper stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was about.
Yeah. I think I would talk more, but I can't. So, yeah, you know how I feel.
Yes, I know how you feel. I know how to make you cry in a good way.
In a good way.
Um, let's see. Let's see. What else? Mm,
Oh, Anika, wait. This is also an important question. Was there any book that you absolutely hated?
hate's a strong word, my girl. Hate's a strong word, but one that I would say I didn't enjoy the way I thought it would be was that book that we read for my birthday, Anil's Ghost.
Oh, yeah, that was gonna be mine too, because that was a letdown for me. I thought like, oh, it's gonna be a book about Sri Lanka. Like, I'm gonna see my people in this book. I'm gonna be able to relate to this. I'm like, I don't. This book was like climbing a mountain without having mountain gear. It was so boring too. It
Like,
was a really dry
I
read.
found myself reading, but then like just jumping, like skimming. And I'm like, okay, what happened? Gotta go back. And then like forward. And it's like, what did I just read? Like, it took me longer than it should have
Mhm.
because of that.
Yeah, I think out of everything that we read, that was my least favorite book for the out of the entire book club books. That was my least favorite, and I was very disappointed because I had high hopes for that one.
Or like one that surprised me would be Rena.
Yeah. Rena was
Like that was so well written too. Like it made you just feel like you're having a conversation.
mm-hmm.
It didn't feel dry.
Mm-hmm. So with Rena Burke is like her story. She was a bullied, I want to say like 15, 14-year-old girl in BC back in the 90s who was actually bullied to death by her classmates. And her father had written her story as a way to emotionally come to grips with what happened to his daughter. And the way that she died, it was violent. These kids had actually like ganged up on her and drowned her in the local river, and it was brutal. And this her father had written a book about her to kind of as like emotional therapy, and I think that's the reason why I liked it so much because it felt like he was just telling us everything so that the memory of his daughter wouldn't die with him.
I feel like there was another one. Oh, Pet. Because I seen it on Tumblr. That's how I discovered it. And then I saw that the author was like half Nigerian, half Tamil. So I told you about it. But like I didn't read to know what it was about, and like I really liked the book. And I have to get the second one's out now, the prequel to that, Bitter. So I need to get it.
Yeah, that one surprised me too, going in not knowing what I was going to be reading about.
What happened, Sheena? You mean the book Rena?
Yeah.
It was terrible. That's some true crime type of stuff.
Yeah.
Side note, Sharanja, did you see what I did there with our little logo?
Yeah, I see it.
I was trying a tune. Cause we had made those little Daria things a while back, so I'm like, let me see if I can like put them together to make a something.
You did a good job.
Thanks. Um,
I read one trashy romance novel in the month
Pardon?
of January. I read one trashy romance novel. I don't know if people are going to be interested in this, but it has a fun origin story.
Oh, I've
So
seen that one online a lot on Bookstagram.
it 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 was originally Star Wars fan fiction set in like a modern universe, and like Kylo Ren and Rey from Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Yeah.
So that's the fan fiction. That's Rey and that's Kylo Ren.
Interesting.
And she changed it around where it's like not set in space, but set in like a post-secondary. Like they're both master's students. And yeah, this was fun. This was spicy. So I gave it an A+.
Now I have a question for you, because I just have a question for you. Do you read Sarah Maas?
Sarah Maas. Is she that author that everyone on TikTok and Instagram posts about, like those Court of Thorns and Roses?
Huh?
Is she the author of Court of Thorns and Roses?
So. A new book come out. And I want to know if you read it. Because Lil Miss Sheena down here loves her off.
Sheena, do you really like her that much? Because I was kind of iffy on whether or not I should read.
That's what. Okay, I was telling Sheena the other day. I'm like, when I found out that she likes her, I'm like, oh well, I thought I heard some things about how this woman was canceled or whatever, but I just want to know if you read it. Cause like if she likes her and like let's say you like her, then I'll give her a chance. You feel me?
Honestly, like I feel like some of her books are really overhyped, so it kind of like maybe not want to read it. But if Sheena really likes it that much,
she does. And like that's what I'm saying. Like if like she really likes it, so if I have somebody else who really likes it, then like I would give it a chance.
I've heard a lot of people who I like their taste in books they've trashed her books.
Mm.
So I don't know, but don't make up. You got to make up your own mind.
But back on what she was saying, you got any other smutty stuff?
I
Got
mean,
any smutty Rex?
the tethers that tie, that there was some smutty stuff in that. Chef kisses.
The love hypothesis?
Not the one that we read together. The ties
Oh,
that
ties that
yeah,
tether, my
chef
girl.
kisses. I was reading that one like, oh, okay.
No, cause I read it before you, right? So I was reading it and I'm like, mm? I wrote down the page number to ask you later because I'm like, we need to discuss this page.
You told me it was like page 32. I stopped where I was reading and I went straight to page 32. That was also spicy. No, I haven't heard of that one.
Write it down.
Let's put it would be.
I feel like I don't really read them smutty things. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but more so because I read a lot of YA, and that's a little too advanced for YA. a little too into it for YA, but I need to try a thing.
Yeah, this is for me. This is definitely for me.
All right, so Sheena gave Sharanja a rec.
Yep, no, that's
Oh, it's LGBTQ. I see.
even purchasing it now.
Girl, I thought you had too much books. I thought you were trying to hold off. Check the library, my girl.
Kill the vibe. Kill the vibe.
No, I remember when I think I was in high school or just after high school. There was this book that I read. Oh, frick, I can't even remember what it's called now. Something Peace. It's about this little girl, and she was the youngest of all boys. And you find out later on that, like, I guess she was not born a girl, she was born a boy. But it wasn't like a transgendered thing. It was her parents wanted a girl, so they just raised her as a girl.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody knew. Like she didn't even know like that any different, or her siblings didn't know. Nobody knew. And then obviously having this like conflict, because it's like, I guess like how a transgendered kid would feel, but like opposite, because I guess she was a cisgendered male. She's still having those feelings of like that she's supposed to be a male, but she's being raised as a girl. It was interesting. I thought it was a fever dream, but then like a few weeks ago, I saw it posted somewhere. I'm like, okay, so this is real.
Yeah, that sounds like a true story. I remember reading something like that in high school.
Get a life, Chloe.
And
So there you go, Sharanja. The first one's Get a Life, Chloe Brown.
I guess it must be like, oh yeah, it's like the Brown sisters, so it goes through their whole family. Okay, yes, more than one. But like Anika, I do genuinely like reading romance books. Um, I'm not that into like YA romance anymore. I just feel like it's not where I am mentally anymore. I do like steamy themes, and there's never
Well, I don't
any.
mean YA romance. I just mean I read a lot of YA in general. Like Grown and Monday's Not Coming. That's technically YA. Firekeeper's Daughters YA.
I feel like if I read YA, it's usually fantasy, like YA fantasy or dystopian. So this
You
is
read
like a series
Legendborn?
yeah, I read Legendborn. I love Legendborn. It's actually being made into a TV show too. I think it's being made into a TV show by the same production company as.
Oh wow! I said you read Legendborn, and then I look down and I see that she said the exact same thing that I said.
No, I love Legendborn. Like I'm waiting for the TV show to come out too. I just hope that they meet my expectations, which it can go either way at this point, but we'll see. I'm also reading like the fourth book in the Ember and the Ashes series. So this is like a Middle Eastern YA fantasy. Most of the characters are like South Asian, Middle Eastern, and this has been really good so far. The last book is like 500 pages, so it's gonna take me a while to get through, but working on it.
I feel like
Yeah, it's being made into a TV show. Legendborn TV show.
is it?
Um,
Oh, yes. Now that Sheena says that she needs to finish that series, I should ask, like, is there anything that you're currently reading? Did you finish The Maid?
I love The Maid. The Maid I finished in one day. I don't know if
Yeah.
Q is still in the chat, but she also likes murder mysteries like I do. I think The Maid would be such a good recommendation for her
For
because
who? Shalina?
for Kiana,
Oh, yeah, she's here.
yeah, I think you'd really enjoy The Maid. So I'll send it to you on Instagram. But it's about a maid who comes across a dead body in one of the hotel rooms that she's cleaning, and I like the perspective so much because the main character is autistic. So it was really interesting. It was really interesting seeing everything happen from her perspective because it's not. I've never read a book about from a autistic person's viewpoint before, so I enjoyed it a lot.
Relax yourself, Sheena. I was just about to say that as we're talking about series that we need to finish, that I was going to talk about how you told me to read Poppy Wars, and I started it. So yeah, Poppy Wars. Good things.
Um, in terms of like children's books, there's two children's books that I want to check out for the future, and the one is about Josephine Baker, and it's done in the style of the Nina Simone book that I showed you guys earlier. So it's going to talk about her early life and some of the struggles that she went through as a black female entertainer during that time, and also
Okay.
the Marley brothers have a children's book out now too.
I think they have a series of books. I think already.
Ooh, I didn't know who was a series, but I saw one in Indigo the other day, and it looked really nice.
Cool.
So those are two books that I'm really looking forward to.
I had started reading this book, but then I put it down to read Grown, and then I finished Grown, and then I read Monday's Not Coming, and then like I wasn't feeling like going back to this just yet. So then I went on to Daughters of the Moon Goddess.
Yeah, that one has gotten a lot of good reviews.
It's good so far. I'm only on page 19, but
Oh, I also read Velvet Was the Night. We had read a book by the same author last year. It's
oh
by the same
yeah,
author.
Mexican Gothic.
Yeah, Mexican Gothic and Gods of Jade and Shadow.
Yeah.
And I had picked this book up because I thought it was going to be a romance. It's not a romance. It's just like a thriller. But the two characters that were supposed to be in a relationship don't even meet until the end of the. Sorry, spoiler. They don't even meet until the end of the book. So this is not this. This was miscategorized as a romance. This is not a romance.
Let's see. Oh, did you ever read the graphic novel Skyward?
No, I haven't read that.
That one's a good one. It's about like when there's no gravity. Like there's no gravity, so like people are just flying around. And
That sounds fun though.
and then the girl's father was trying to like keep her at home and not like go outside, and I think he ends up dying, and then I never finished the whole thing, but that one was a good one. Oh, The Parable of the Sower.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That was a
That was
really good one.
people have actually written like whole like essays about that religions that she created in the book, Octavia E. Butler.
Earthseed or something.
Earthseed.
That
And
was good.
it's a series too. I think they have more than one. And it has to be at least 3 books in the series, I think. And I think they're
Yeah, I
also
think so.
adapting, like,
I feel like I would reread that as a novel because you know how we read it as a graphic novel.
yeah,
I feel like I would
yeah,
reread it in like regular novel format.
same here. But also, I think they're doing the second book in the series as a graphic novel too. So whenever that comes out, I want to check it out.
Mm. Oh, some more LGBTQ plus representation. Cinderella is Dead. That was a good one. I liked it. Retelling of the Cinderella story, like years after Cinderella happened, where it's basically they're in the same town, like the same town or whatever that Cinderella was in, but everybody's told the story of Cinderella, but is it a lie? Maybe. And like
Maybe
they're just like living this whole fantasy.
I thought that was a zombie story, just based off the cover.
No, not not zombie. But I guess a good zombie-ish story series to read would be Dread Nation. Dread Nation and The Deathless Divide. Loved those 2 books. And I think that one also kind of has LGBTQ representation and it's got BIPOC representation. Good series. I'm just checking off the stuff that I had on my list that we talked about. Um, did I talk about Demon Days by Peach Momoko?
Is that a manga?
No, it's supposed to. It's a bunch of like the different marks. So like this one's the X-Men one. Then they have like the Cursed Spy, the Cursed Web. So it's a bunch of the different mainstream mainstream Marvel characters, but it's told in like a Japanese-ish kind of retelling. And Peach Momoko has like these nice watercolor type of artwork.
Beautiful.
I think you'd actually kind of enjoy this series.
The last like manga story that I read was Attack on Titan. Like I finished the last couple of chapters last year,
Yeah.
and it really upset me with the way that everything ended. So kind of like made me not want to read manga for a while.
Oh my gosh. But so you've caught up on the readings, but are you caught up on the watching?
Honestly, because of the way the manga ended, I don't even want to force myself to watch the ending of the show just because it made me that devastated.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's one of the best animes to ever come out. It's just like I was very heartbroken with what happened to the end.
I like that, but I'm not caught up. I like Dr. Stone. I think I'm caught up on that. I don't even know if Greg is still in the chat here because he's Mr. Big Anime Watcher. He watches um, Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh, there he is. Attack on Titan is madness. No, it is deep, but it's nice. It's nice. It's creepy. I mean, I'm always imagining like if that were to be happening, just having these monsters running around naked, chomping on people.
Have you guys ever tried to watch the live action version? That's
No, you.
creepy.
Everybody tells me not to watch it.
It's disturbing.
Greg, let's watch it.
Greg, once upon a time, he recommended one show for me to watch that I really liked. Run with the Wind. It's just like a slice of life anime, but I thought it was really good for what it was.
I know you said don't, but I'm saying let's do it. Also, side note, Greg and I have this brilliant idea, which might not actually be so brilliant, but we're gonna try and watch all the DC animated movies and like review them or just talk about them after we watch each of them.
Why
So
would you torture
stay
yourself?
tuned for that, maybe.
Oh, call me when you guys watch Aquaman.
DC animated ones,
Oh, forget it.
not the stupid DCU, you trash films. The animated ones is where it's at.
Aquaman is a good movie.
So Sheena, I'm gonna go watch your Bat Daddy.
You might as well just throw in like the Batman, like the '90s Batman cartoon in there too.
Oh, the animated series
Yeah, it's really good.
and
That
Batman
and
Beyond. Batman
Batman.
Beyond is Greg's favorite.
So, Greg, I heard this rumor online like a while ago. I don't know if it's still happening, but you know how like Marvel has Spider-Verse like with Miles Morales, and it's animated in that specific CGI style, right? Um, DC, once upon a time, I don't know if this is still happening. They were planning to do the same with Batman Beyond with Terry's character. Like they were gonna have an origin story in the same verse, in the same way that Morales had a movie with Marvel. They were gonna do the same thing with Batman Beyond. But I don't know if that's still happening or not. But might be something to look forward to in the future if it happens.
That would be exciting because, like I always say, at least personally, I'm getting tired of the same Holy Trinity Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Like, give us a little something different. That's why I was so happy for Wonder Girl with Yara Flor, where finally we getting something different. I like her, I like Nubia. I like Diana, but I'm just tired. Same
Mm-hmm.
with Batman. Like, I have nothing against Bruce. I'm just getting tired. The same thing over and
Yeah,
over.
same thing. I feel that
And
way with
Superman,
Mm-mm. I feel that way about the Marvel stuff too, because it
box
feels
him,
like
yeah.
I mean, I feel that way about the Marvel stuff too, because after a while, it just feels like it's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I feel that, especially like because the thing that I don't like about these mainstream comics is that they just keep rebooting and rebooting. Like,
Rebooting and rebooting.
why do we reboot Deadpool a million and one times? Why do we reboot Harley Quinn a million and one times? Why is there so much Batman, so much Superman, so much Spider Man?
Yeah. Even with sometimes they have like new characters take on the mantle of already established superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
Even that, like, depending on how it's done, like sometimes I just wish that they put all their creativity in creating like a whole new identity for these characters, right?
Yeah.
Um, like don't get me wrong, like I love Miss Marvel. I love Kamala Khan. I think she's amazing. But I feel like she only worked because nobody cared about like the Miss Marvel mantle when she took it over. Because Carol Danvers has been Captain Marvel for however many years right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of wish that they would put all their energy into creating just new superheroes, new storylines for these characters. Same here, but I gravitate to indie more because I just like I don't know. I just like stories other than superheroes most of the time.
I mean, that's why I know, like, I say this all the time, like, Q turned her back. Q turned her back on Marvel, but like I understand why. Because she says that it's just so cookie cutter and like it's the same stuff over and over and like you want something new and indie offers that. Like the indie people are doing what we wish Marvel or DC would.
Mm-hmm.
Like only now are DC and Marvel offering like some kind of representation when the indies have been doing it from time.
Oh, hi,
Oh,
Carrie.
Carrie. I'm glad you love Big Ethel, Carrie.
What an entrance.
Yeah. I'm just like, Carrie. Yeah. She still reads Marvel because she only reads the Wasteland all the Wasteland series. Which, as I said, I understand why, because at least the Wasteland is doing something a little different. Wasteland, Dark Age, something different. And I feel you with that. Do you read Paper Girls? That's one that I'm thinking about getting into.
Paper Girls is really, really good. That's another one
And
by Brian
The
Brian
Wicked and the
Kuzan.
Divine. You read that?
That one is it's by your favorite artist.
Who's my favorite artist?
The one that hold on. Wicked and Divine. The name is on the tip of my tongue.
Is it Jen? Jen Bartel?
I yes.
Okay. I'm like, which artist? I have a lot of faves.
Yeah, she's the illustrator. And she
Okay.
does a good job too.
But
That's
like,
another
how's
like
the plot?
far fetched and crazy, but it'll make you want to continue reading. It's another like Greek mythology.
Because Jen does the art for Blackbird, or I should say, did the art for Blackbird. That series is kind of weird. Some
This
witchy
is
stuff.
also this is also weird, but just in a different way. And they have like a whole bunch of issues too. Like I think the volumes go up to like 20, I think, or more than that.
A comic that I'm currently reading only because it was suggested, but I really like it, is Bolero.
Yeah, I started reading it
Number 2
too.
comes out this week, I think.
Yeah, that first issue was crazy, but I like where
Mm-hmm.
it's going. I'm like
It
I'm
was
so
good.
interested to see.
I feel like I need to reread it.
Paper Girls is also being made into a TV show too. That's
Listen, my girl, they made Why the Last Man into TV show, and I've yet to watch it, and I heard that it's canceled.
it's already been canceled. They were actually filming that down the street.
That's why I wanted to watch it, because right by your house, I saw that they were filming before.
I don't even want to invest in that TV show, but I don't know. I love Why the Last Man though. I love the series.
What else? What else?
I don't know if anyone is like a fan of The Walking Dead in here, but I love the comic book series and the show's
I
wrapping
think
up this
Greg
season.
was reading it before. I don't know if it was a novel or if it was the graphic novel.
Yeah, oh yeah, because they have actual books about the show, I think. But yeah,
I don't know.
I love
I don't know if Q reads The Walking Dead, but that seems like something that she would like. Like,
it. That's that's where I first saw Denai Guerrera because she played Michonne on the show
yeah,
for so
the
many years.
hair.
So badass.
How's this poll going? Everybody, everybody wants graphic novels, and only 14% reads children books. Were you the 14%?
Me?
Did you vote children books?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, so it's not you then. You didn't vote. All right. There's a poll, Sharanja, and I asked, what is your go-to reading choice? Fiction novels, nonfic, comics, graphic novels, manga, or children's picture books?
I'm confident that most people wouldn't select the children's book.
14% selected children's book. That's why I
14%.
was asking if it was you. Which one's good? Paper Girls? Wicked and the Divine? Walking Dead? I feel like I went through all my books. Got America Chavez, Icon and Rocket, Werewolf by Night, oh, TC never showed up, but Batman White Knight, he keeps asking me if I read it. I'm that far in.
As I was going through the list of books that I want to talk about this for this stream, I forgot that I read Islandborn, and I forgot that I wanted to send it to you, but I did that today. And
Yeah, I saw it.
because it made me think of you, because I'm like, oh, it's about a character who she's from the Caribbean. It doesn't mention in the book where she is from the Caribbean, but she was born
It
there,
just
and then
said the island.
the
The
island.
island.
But she was born there, and then her parents moved to the States, and she has to do a project for school where they have to talk about where they're from and like happy memories from where they're from. But for her, it's like because she came to the States when was really young, she doesn't have any memories of the island. So she uses that as a good as a good way to open up a discussion with her parents and her family, and kind of learn about her culture, learn about where she came from, learn about the family that was left behind. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cute. And it's by Juno Diaz, and that's also like a really well known author.
I gotta. Well, you sent me the video, but I gotta look it up for a physical copy. If there's a physical copy.
Like a lot of books
did read
that,
Paper Girls. Okay.
yeah, it's really good. They have all the issues on Hoopla too. Like not even the issues, the volumes.
The
So
volumes. Yeah, but you can only take out so many things in a month. And I
yeah.
already just took out Philadelphia, volume 1. And like, what happens if I want to read number 2?
Mm-hmm. Like I'm saving my last borrow for the next issue of Saga.
That comes out what, this month? Sorry, this week?
I thought it
Next
was this
week?
week. I thought it was this week.
Ask the people here who know. Sheena, Q, when does the next issue come out? Seeing as they just wrapped up their whole review of the compendium, week by week, volume by volume. Look at my book.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
This is me as a boy.
Your uniform.
Call me Deku.
Very cute.
But low key, oh, it's this week. Low key, high key, Sharanja's man is AJ, which is me with the filter. Alejandro.
They're all my men. They're all of them.
Like, if I was a dude, I'd be more than just her best friend. I'd be her man.
I told you. Listen, not even that. If I was into girls, I'd be
Oh
trying
shoot!
to
Tomorrow. You see, I'm used to us doing this thing on a Sunday way back when. Today being Tuesday, and me
throws
being
you
on
off
reading week.
bit.
Tomorrow
Yeah.
is New Comic Book Day. Jeez, Anika.
Anika, did you
Jeez.
hear what I just said?
No.
I said, if I was into girls, I'd be out here trying to steal you from Greg. I'd be out here trying to claim you. So tell
Listen,
Greg to
Greg, are
watch
you
out.
hearing this?
Tell Greg to watch out.
I could still flirt. I know that's not going anywhere.
Or is it?
Listen.
Just joking, Greg. I love you.
Listen. Oh, did you know that Greg and I today low-key got married? Today was the day 2222. Tuesday the 22nd of the second month, 22nd. Yeah, so lucky. You were supposed to be there to be my witness, but you didn't show up.
Don't play me like that. We can end this chat right now and have a discussion off the camera. But don't play me like that. That's not funny.
My girl, you were supposed to be my witness, and I had to get some bum off the street.
Don't talk like that. That's not funny, by the way. That's not funny. That's not something I laugh at.
That you missed my wedding, my elopement.
Next
It was on
topic.
Greg's lunch. Like, it had to be real quick, real quick.
Next topic. I'm trying to think. What haven't we covered so far?
Pardon?
There's a lot more books that I could talk about. It's just that I do a lot of reading online now. Like a lot of it is just like ebooks. And it's not super easy to share them on here.
Well, I mean, just say the name.
All right. Well, one book that I also want to talk about, which goes into our little thing about like Indigenous stories, it's called Powwow Day. And I've never been to a powwow, so I don't know essentially what goes on. I always just thought it was like a spiritual meeting of like Indigenous people coming together and praying. But this book is about a young girl who, for the past year, she was really, really sick and she couldn't really go out and attend any powwows or do much of anything because of how sick she was. She's finally well enough to go and attend a powwow with her family, but she's not well enough to join in any of the dancing festivities. And since it's like a prayer service in a way, all her friends and her family member, they kind of dance for her and release a prayer on her behalf saying that like we're happy that you're here with us this year and don't worry, next year you're going to be even better to the extent that you will be dancing with us, right? And I was touched by it because like Anika, you know, I used to be really sick as a kid, so like there were a lot of things that I couldn't do, and I kind of felt left out a lot when I saw other people my age doing things, and I wanted to do them too, but I couldn't because I was sick.
Yeah.
And it felt nice seeing this group of people from the same culture speaking positive affirmations like that into this girl's life, being like, we know you're sick now, but don't worry, you're gonna get better. We're gonna pray for you and you're gonna be here with us next year. So I love seeing that. And yeah, it's called Powwow Day and it was just released this year and it's by Tracy Sorrell, she's also an Indigenous writer. Oh, that's so
Kua, you're
cool.
doing all the things. We here in Canada and we're not even doing these things.
We're not doing anything.
And she's here visiting and she's doing things.
Yeah. You need to be more like her.
Right?
But these things, like it's not like they don't happen. They happen. It's just that maybe like we weren't aware of them before. Because I know like Toronto has.
Or also just being invited in, like us
Yeah.
not being Indigenous, you're not just gonna put yourself
You're
in
not
these
just gonna go,
spaces.
right?
She is.
She's awesome. And I enjoy her like Monday posts, like the videos that she posts on Monday to like start up the week.
I low-key feel like I spend far too much time with her and Sheena digitally, but like I have no regrets.
Yeah.
Lunchtime is the best time with Q.
That was the whole point of starting like an Instagram account, right? That's like the whole point, right? To connect positively with people.
Yeah. And as you said, New Year's, I seem to somehow, some way be able to make friends online.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Easy. I'm not an extrovert in any type of way. You hear that, Sharanja? We're amazing. We've got the Q seal of approval.
We need to get like a Q,
A button.
like a button, like Q stamp of approval.
Listen, Q, don't be jinxing it because this is a year in review. This isn't a twice a month thing like how it was. Like we don't even know when the next one's happening.
Yeah,
This is a play it by ear.
play it by ear.
This is a Anika's on break from school for the week, so let's get it in.
We'll see how it goes. Oh, Anika, I saw this online today, but Arthur apparently had his last episode today.
Yes. Like I saw on TikTok how it ended. I don't know if you want me to tell you how it ended.
Just tell me, I'm gonna watch either way.
So apparently they did the cliche move of it, like at the end, like they're all older and whatever, and like they're in George's restaurant or something, and Muffy is running for mayor. Long story short, the series of Arthur was Arthur in the future saying like he wrote a graphic novel. And then he's like the first chapter is like how he got his glasses, which would have been like the first episode.
Not gonna lie, I kind of like it though.
Out here having hair and stuff, and Francine got her sides shaved long on top. She sells running shoes.
Oh man, I loved that show growing up. It made me think of the
It's funny
little.
too because I was gonna wear my Arthur shirt if I didn't wear this one.
Oh my gosh, yeah, those books were so fun to read growing up as a kid.
We'll
We'll
see.
see. We'll
We'll
see.
see.
I mean, if anything, like we could aim for like once a month, but life.
I mean, what month is it? We'll say it's March,
Hmm.
right? Because March is in a few days. So
Hmm.
I only have 2 months left of school,
Hmm.
and then free up,
Free up.
free up. So the future might be bright, or it might be dull. We'll see.
I still have to read like Firekeeper's Daughter. Like we were supposed to read it for our last
Yeah,
little
but like I wouldn't, especially what had happened. Didn't want you reading that because
yeah.
because like there's a tragic death that happens in it.
Happy read. Happy read. Holy please.
Exactly.
Happy read. Happy TV shows, please.
That's the thing. Like different people grieve differently. Like I was able to, throughout all the grief that happened for me last year, it didn't affect me in that way. But like I don't think you should should have read it at that point in time.
Yeah. That's why I gravitated towards The Office. Office has been out for
Bye, Q.
bye. Bye you. Thanks for coming.
I'll see you
Thank you.
tomorrow on your thing. Lunchtime. Lunchtime with Q and friends. That's what I call it.
What was I saying? Yeah. Like The Office has been out for however many years. I never bothered to watch it because I work in an office. I don't see what's so funny about it. But then I'm like, I needed something so like that tone in my life at that time. Otherwise, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have watched the Office at all. So I'm kind of trying to stay away from dark stuff if I can help it. Which is why I appreciate things like trigger warnings.
Wait. This just reminded me. I don't know how it popped into my head, but it did. Have you ever watched the show Working Moms?
No, but a lot of people like it apparently.
Because this girl down here, Sheena, she was telling me the other day, because her and I were having a little conversation, you see, and I was saying how Canadian Netflix, we don't have all the goody goods like they do in the States. And she's like, yeah, but you guys have working moms. I'm like, what's working moms? She's like, yeah, you guys have it before we get it. I'm like, what's working moms? So now I started watching Working Moms, and it's wild.
It's with Retta, right? Retta's in the show.
I don't know who that. But Sharanja, the show opens up with the women with their titties out because they all just breastfeeding. Like, it continues to get worse. Worse, better, I don't know.
I mean, a lot of people like it.
You hear me talking about it, Greg, in person.
I'll check this out. It's a comedy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I need a new comedy to watch.
But it must be one of those shows that come on late at night because clearly, like, it's not censored. And it's a CBS show. CBS, CBC, CBC, Canadian Broadcasting. No, CBS, Canadian Broadcasting. I don't know, CBC or CBS.
CBC. It's
one of them.
CBC Jam. Yeah, it's probably on CBC Jam, so I can stream it on there.
I only don't mention it because I feel like I talk about Sheena enough, and I don't want to just constantly be talking about Sheena. You hear that, Sheena? I talk about you a lot to the point where I have to like censor myself from talking about you more. I watched Atlanta. I've seen every episode, and I watched Insecure, but I haven't watched the last few seasons of Insecure.
I watched Insecure. It's so good.
You seen all the episodes?
I'm finishing up on the last season, so I don't know how it ends quite yet, but I love where it's going. With
Amanda Seales is my girl in real life. Like, I love her.
Yeah. I'm listening to her audiobook. It's fun to listen to her read the book out loud because it's her story.
Yeah, and I love her podcast, Small Doses. When I used to work early in the morning, I'd listen to her each week.
Have you guys watched Harlem? It's on Amazon Prime.
Yes, I've seen every episode.
I really like that too. People say it's like a watered down version of Insecure, but I disagree. Like, it's different perspectives.
With Megan Good.
With Megan Good
and Grace Byers.
Grace Byers and the other
Richard Richard.
And one more girl. But yeah, it's so good. Like, I like their different perspectives.
Sometimes I tell myself, I'm like, I need a girl gang like that.
They're getting a second season too, so they're coming back.
And Megan get divorced or getting divorced?
We'll find out.
In real life.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. You never know. I feel like they might get back together, but
like,
it seems like they really love each other.
Celebrities get divorced all the time, but people are trying to make it a big deal because he's a pastor. It's like, oh well, what are you doing? Blah blah blah. You're not supposed to get divorced. This, next, and the third. It's like, he's a man still, and it's like, you don't know the reason for their divorce.
Anika, do you know Israel Houghton?
Adrian's husband.
Yeah, so he's a pastor too, and he was married before, and he cheated on his first wife, which is why the divorce happened. I mean, like, shit happens. They're guys too. I don't know. I don't think it makes you above reproach because you're like a pastor or anything, but
listen, sometimes the church be worse than the outside world. The stuff going on in a lot of these churches, madness, wildness. You ever watch with a show called Greenwood?
It was on Netflix.
Is it Greenwood? Green something. Greenleaf. The Greenleaf family. Yo, that show's wild and I love it.
But that's more like a soap opera. So
It's
like a
something.
heavy soap opera.
Or way back when they had that preacher's daughter show, I'm like, these girls getting on bad.
Yeah, that show was really bad.
Bad.
I just remember Megan Good doing this interview and telling the interviewer that like sometimes she gets really turned off from church because the amount of people who judge her
Mm-hmm.
because she's an actress and like there's certain scenes that she does as part of a role like certain like sexual like scenes that like
Yeah.
it's like she's doing it as part of her job but like she was saying like she got judged a lot because of that only because she's the wife of the pastor.
She's out here. She's a first wife.
Mm.
Oops. Let me see. What other shows are there? You've been watching Love is Blind, the new season?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Oh my gosh,
I'm not caught up, but I started it with Greg.
the Indian couple. Oh my
Yo,
gosh, I'm so worried for them.
the two who they both went into it not dating brown people, and you end up with your brown people.
First of all, I don't understand why you guys think that's a flex, like a flex to not be dating brown people. Like it's not a flex, and that's how they bonded. Like you don't
And he was
date brown
cringe to
people.
start. Like,
He was so
could I
cringy,
put you on my shoulders?
and the questions that he was asking in the pods, like, oh yeah, like could I put you on my shoulders? Like how, like very superficial. Like how do you look questions? Like that's not the point of you being in this experiment. And are you at the episode where they meet each other in person?
Yeah, I saw where they met each other, and
He
he's
went,
going to kiss her feet or something, or touch her
he
feet.
went and grabbed her ass,
Yeah, he kept
grabbed her
grabbing.
ass. It's just like, and there's like certain things that he says about her after, like closer to the end of the season, where I'm like, why are you talking about her like that? Like, he talks so much about how she looks and how he's not like physically attracted to her, and I'm like,
Hmm.
but you, but he keeps saying like we're best friends. It's just that there's no physical attraction. I'm like, then you're putting way too much emphasis on the physical and you didn't understand what the assignment was. I don't know, it was just so cringy. Like he grabbed it like with Play-Doh or something.
Yeah.
And even her
Listen,
like
you can like stuff, but like you don't know the cameras on you. Leave that for later.
yeah, yeah. And that's another thing. They're acting like he forgot like the cameras are there and his mom and dad are gonna be watching this. Yeah. There's
I
more
think
stuff that
you see
happens with
there's a Japanese version. I would love to see how that one is.
and there's also a Brazil version.
Yeah, but okay, culturally, they say like Brazil is hyper like sensualized and sexualized, but like Japanese aren't. Like Japanese in actual society, like they don't really exhibit that stuff. So it would be interesting to see
More
what they're
restrained.
trying to look for in these pods.
Hmm. Also, like the Japanese have like a very like their own version of what they consider to be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in seeing it from that perspective too. But what I have to say about this season of Love Is Blind, at least they have more diversity on the second season, whereas on the first season they didn't really have that much.
And that's like, did I knew that there was like more black people, but I'm like, where'd they drop
Yeah.
off to?
But yeah, they must have just not found anyone because I remember I saw so much more in the first episode
Yeah,
when they were introducing everyone. I'm like, where did they go?
these people in the pod, they annoy me.
The
Like the one who had the two girls, and the one girl saying like that they're dating, and then the other girl called him out on it, and he didn't want to like own up. I'm like,
That's who I wanted to talk about. The Asian girl and the blonde guy. The blonde guy's like a cartoon. He's so annoying. And then the blonde girl, like how far are you in? Like 2 episodes or 3 episodes in?
let me check. Oh, I'd have to watch this Tinder swindler that everybody talking about.
Yeah, you should watch that too, because I have a lot of opinions about that.
What was
Yeah,
going
he always
Japan?
mixes up who he's talking to, and it's so embarrassing.
So I'm on number 3. So
Okay,
I've watched 2.
okay. So like, you know how he's like going back and forth between the Asian girl and the blonde girl? That, yeah, what Greg said right there, that was so embarrassing when he called out the other girl by Shayna's name. Uh, I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but their whole dynamic is so toxic.
Like, how many episodes are out right now?
The last episode's on Friday, so the episode on Friday, that's the episode with all the weddings.
They say new episodes weekly. So how long has this? Okay, so there is. Have mercy. There's already 9 episodes.
Hmm. It's almost done. Like the last episode is this week.
And then what about Japan? Oh, Japan has 11 episodes out. I'm really missing out on things.
Mm, yeah, I think I'm gonna watch the Brazil version though. I think it's more interesting when there's like there's like the chance of like interracial couples.
Imagine if they cross them over with the different countries, so then there's like a language gap. Because apparently,
Or,
like that used to happen a lot of times, especially in London. It was like war brides and stuff. They would just take on wives that they didn't speak the same language, and like they'd have whole children, and then their children become translators for the two of them instead of them learn the same language.
yeah, that happens.
It's like the only language they have is,
Love.
but like not really the language of lust.
I guess people like that get married with the intention that eventually one of them's gonna learn the other person's language.
Like these 90-day fiance people.
That's just toxic. I never watched an episode of that show except for like the random episode about the American lady that went to India thinking she was gonna find her man, and her man was already engaged to someone else.
Oh my goodness.
And she was 65, going after like a 20-year-old guy.
Uh-uh. She was white.
She was white. She was retirement age. She flew to India after striking up a relationship online with this guy in India, and she flew to Delhi. And the guy met her there. They were staying in an apartment for like 2 weeks, and then the guy's family showed up at the apartment, basically caused the whole scene, and said he has he's he's engaged to be married. Why is he staying here with you? You need to leave. And this woman had no idea that this was going on. And yeah, that's how it ended for her.
Wow. That's the thing. People don't know anything about cultural nothing. Like, how do you expect to be so old and like with Indian people, family is so important? You're you're the age of his parents.
Mm-hmm.
You think they're gonna let their son marry you?
No, that's on him too. He lied to her, but she should have been more smart, I feel. But that goes to say, like I was saying this throughout Tinder swindler too that you can't really know how you would react in a search situation unless you're in it. But I just can't believe how much money he scammed off these women. Because one woman gave him up to like $1 million in credit. Like like she took a credit card out in her own name and took and maxed out so many of them just to give it to him. And he was essentially just creating a Ponzi scheme where he was scamming different women at the same time.
This is a Tinder swindler?
Yeah. Like I don't want to judge them too much because yeah, like I said, you don't know how you would react in the situation, but like I it was it was interesting.
Mm, 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 mm. I feel like there's nobody in the chat. We're just talking to ourselves now.
You want to end it off?
I suppose so. Anyways, if anybody is out there, or if anybody's watching this on the replay, I'm happy that you made it this far. Thank you for being with us with our ramblings. Thank you for the book recommendations. Also, I hope that you take some of our recommendations and have a good time. If you read any of these books, let us know. Our IGs are down below. And yeah, let's just be friends. Be some bookish friends. And follow us on our Instagrams to see when our next video is because we don't currently know. But yeah, we will see you guys later and catch you on the flip side. We are out.